So you were asking about that,
Yeah,
the
Michael.
guy.
We had him at a gig.
Yeah. Met him at a gig, and then fast forward like probably almost a whole year later, and he's messaging me saying like, let's collab on some like video stuff. And like I was gonna do it. And I was like, yeah man, I'm doing a video right now. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about the video was he responsible for? Like, what did he do? He was in the same program as you, but what was his specialty?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't talk to him enough, but I met him while I was working, and he said, let's collab on a video. And he asked, because when I saw him, I saw the courses he was in, because I was working at the office store, and his iPad Pro had his classes on it. So I noticed all the classes. So I asked him, I'm like, you're in broadcasting, right? He's like, how'd you know? Like, I saw the schedule, and I'm from broadcasting. He got scared for a second because
you were working in an office.
I was working at the office supply store. I'm like, okay, he said, well, what have you done? So I said, well, I've worked in Italy, I'm working here as I'm building up my production company. He's like, oh, well, how's that? And I'm not sure if I mentioned, like you had said, the music video or anything, but he said, let's collaborate. And I took his card, and next thing you know, you don't send him an email, or he doesn't reply to said email, and
life
has a funny way of showing you.
Takes the potential you had away from you.
Yeah. It's getting to know you, actually. It's amazing how many people I know that are semi-connected.
I know.
Because I know you.
Joe Lipinski.
Yeah. The audio mixer.
Yeah, our engineer.
Yeah, the audio engineer taught me web design, of all things.
Yeah. That's crazy.
HTML.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Mel Monaco show.
Right.
Alex Gazam was there, and I know Alex. And then Melissa Schreiner was at the Mel Monaco show, and I know her. So it's all these worlds coming together.
And the thing they have in common is that there's some kind of artist or another. I definitely didn't feel that tight-knit when I knew a lot of people in the sciences at school. It's much more broad than that.
I wish in my course that people stayed in Niagara. Most people didn't. Most people went to Toronto, which is good.
Totally.
That's a step up for sure for anything artsy.
Most people that went to Toronto left Toronto after they couldn't make it or afford going. But it would have been nice if some of them actually stayed back, because we could be doing some really badass things.
It's just there's a lot more like work, and that's where the scene is.
Welcome to the 14th podcast.
Yeah, a funny thing happened on the way to the podcast.
This time starring G from Roadwaves.
Yeah.
What's up?
We did a music video, which has been released. The links will be included in this podcast. We did the music video for them. That was released April 17th.
Yeah.
April 17th. And it has done well on Facebook. It has done well on YouTube.
I'm pumped about how well it's been doing, especially on Facebook. Those
It's
are
so
good numbers.
nice to read the comments. I read them. I look every day at the comments, and it's all good.
Yeah, there's some great comments in there.
Yeah.
Are you watching like every single one as they come in just to see if somebody asks?
I usually just wait till closer to the evening, and check them out and answer them, or right in the morning.
Really supportive stuff. I haven't seen anything that was detracting at all, really.
Yeah.
I was saying in the car, the comments, some of them are like exactly what you would want, in the sense that when you're video editing, you want to edit something that nobody notices. They don't notice the cuts. But then there's sometimes like that transition from the gorge to the stage where you want them to notice it. And then when they comment on it, that is 100% gratifying.
It is.
If they didn't say anything, we spent a lot of time planning it. And
the work wouldn't feel like it paid off necessarily.
But it is 100% paid off.
Mm-hmm.
I just showed Julio, who's living with me now, the video a minute ago, and it's kind of interesting thing to see it all done. Just because I've only watched the actual video and everything put together probably like 2-3 times at this point. Although
I
of
have
course
watched it a lot.
I know, well, but the unfinished version of it or so, pretty close to finish for quite some time, but lots of little final details. Definitely heard the song a million times.
Oh, I know. It's
I'm looking forward to the album release party just because there are some songs on that album that I'm looking forward to.
Cool, man. Yeah. I mean, like, it's really trippy to be releasing a single where, like, during our practice, that's probably one of the songs that's the quickest. And we jam out, like, the other one's, like, way longer. So, I mean, it's funny on the audience's side, they're, like, a lot more used to this song, obviously. And for me, it's, like, sometimes I forget the words because I, like, barely listen to it.
I could sing for you. I know the words.
Yeah, it's weird being the one who wrote it, I guess, because I heard it so many times before anyone else even did. So it's like, by now, I kind of just hit mute if I'm showing people the video. I'm like, check this out.
Although it did seem like there were lots of last minute sort of alterations to really make it fit together in the studio,
yeah,
which
absolutely.
I thought it was really cool seeing that stuff on the fly, because you always hear that a lot of things can change when you comes down to recording it and somebody gets an idea or the lyrics just fit better together. In
The whole
some other way.
producing side is super fun because, like, it's when you're playing it as a band, it's a completely different perspective than when you have it laid out in front of you on the studio, and it's just like playing back at you, and you're like, oh, it needs more of like this low end frequency. Maybe try this bass line or something like that. You know, like kind of that's where the producing really comes together.
The side of it that I got to see a little bit of was just the recording and then an unmixed version. What was it like to be in the studio when the little bit was actually being mixed and you were seeing the levels adjusted on things?
So the way we did it this time was Joe would send us like a rough mix, and then I would basically send him like notes, just like a whole bunch of notes on every song, like, from like 30 seconds to 45 seconds, could you boost the mids on the blah blah blah.
So it is you do get a lot of creative control in that.
Oh yeah, very.
That's good.
Yeah, very like. I mean, I asked Joe to co-produce with me, just so like I did want to have like the final say, but I did trust his judgment to kind of take it and run, and then if like I didn't like it, I would tell him, and a lot of the times I did, which was great, and that's why I wanted him to co-produce because he's a great artist.
I found it kind of interesting that there was a lot of heavy reverb towards the end of the song. Are there any other songs in the album that sort of take that swing?
Yeah, actually there are. So
it sort of jumps out at you, like it definitely caught me off guard.
Cool.
I still don't know. Like it definitely surprised me. Anyways, I don't know necessarily. Like I wasn't expecting it to sound like that before it was mixed.
That's a cool thing to notice.
Yeah.
It took me a few listens to notice it, because when I dropped the master into the music video, I made sure it synced up at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I told Eric it's done, and I can't quite tell what has changed. And then you listen to it, and you're like, it's very different.
Yeah.
So then I finally listened to it all the way through. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe next time I should.
Yeah, it's kind of like
my job.
It's a mixture of like the mixing artist and the mastering artist. Kind of, it's their fingerprint. You know what I mean? Like, and you'll hear a central theme throughout the whole album, and that's kind of like the fingerprint of them, like especially the like mastering. That's where it all kind of like wraps up together, and every mastering engineer does it differently, and that's why people seek out specific people. But that's probably what you heard. Are you talking about from the final mix to the mastering stage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The difference between
because I think like what I'm not 100% positive on this, but I think what the mastering process does is kind of make things pop a bit more. So it's probably that the reverb was already there, but like mastering makes it louder. I know that for sure. So it's probably just bringing all the EQ up or whatever.
How did you meet Joe? Was it purely professional, or did you?
To be honest, I was at one of his shows like in 2015 at In the Soil, which is happening next week or whatever. This weekend.
For whatever reason, even when I don't live in St. Catharines, I always find myself to be downtown for some reason during that week, and I look around, I'm like, oh,
it's amazing.
It's in the Soil Festival.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw him playing, and he's amazing. He blew my mind.
Shout out to Joe Lipinski.
Joe Lipinski, yeah.
He's great HTML teacher.
He's a legend, yeah. Like I saw him play, and I was just like, wow, this guy's great. I knew he listened to Zappa for sure.
I've been enjoying a lot of you've been posting a little bit of stuff, jamming out to some Zappa riffs on Facebook, and it's interesting seeing how technical you can be as a guitarist, because it's an entirely different style of playing than what Road Waves seems to play.
Well, you'll see, man, because there's a lot of tracks where we get really technical.
Yeah,
like,
really.
Yeah, like the whole album's pretty like all over the map. We get like reggae-ish and like.
Did you say bluegrass at one point?
Yeah, there's some bluegrass.
How many tracks are there?
There's 10.
10. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely more than I've heard you guys play. So I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, there's like some progressive stuff.
I will tell you, the first song I listened to on the album isn't going to be so long. With respect,
it's the second track. So
okay, so,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Is Red Sun Rising the first?
It's the 10th.
The 10th. Oh,
yeah.
That's what I guess.
We were gonna make it like pretty early on, but then we're like, what's a good way to get people to listen till the end? Put the title track at the end.
I've always wondered how artists decide on the order of the album if it's not necessarily like an ordered story. You definitely has to be something to do with playing with the audience's attention span.
So I'll tell you this: like there was a concept album that I was working on for this album, and it didn't necessarily work out because I felt that I didn't have enough time to really execute it properly. But I did have like keep some of the themes in that, like by the end of the album, I feel like it's a bit more uplifting lyrically. So like there was that in picking the order of it. I did want certain songs to be closer to the end and certain songs to be at the beginning. Because if you listen to the words, it's kind of like...
You think maybe there is a message there that could spread across them, or just a change in mood across the songs?
I would say a theme.
Yeah.
Of like rebirth almost, or like, overcoming something shitty.
You definitely get the vibe of a story in So Long, at least.
Yeah.
At least I did. Although, of course, I was looking for one just to...
The story in So Long is basically the overall theme. I could say that. Because it's like, almost like, screw this, I'm going to make up my own story type thing.
I find a lot of artists get really... they don't really like to answer questions that are so specific about the meaning behind
Right. I don't like to get too specific either.
No.
I like it to be very open.
Yeah,
you like fans to
enjoy
their own story.
It makes it more personal for sure, and it should be.
I like that side of it.
I think we had talked about it. We either talked about it together or we talked about it on here. How, I mean, you have a good. I think we talked about it the day we shot the outside stuff. That you have a good following, and it was nice to see some of your followers come over to our side and follow us. But how much not easy, but how much easier it is for a musician to kind of be a mainstay in people's minds, because there is that emotional connection. It's very hard to create an emotional connection as a videographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
You could
for
sell
sure.
photos.
I imagine we got a bit more of a kickback just because of there's a much more personal connection to what Road Waves is doing necessarily. Like, nobody who's getting wedding videography is going to necessarily care who we're making a music video for. I mean, maybe there's an odd person, but
there's one or two that have messaged me.
Well, that's cool.
That was cool, but they all like music, and we're talking about doing music videos for a while, so it's nice to see this finally starting.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to deal with. I mean, I don't deal with it a lot. I won't say that I'm like crazy popular as an artist or whatever, but even just like, I'm pretty introverted. Like, it doesn't seem like it, but like I like to practice music a lot, which involves being alone a lot.
Yeah.
And like booking tours and stuff like that. And it's not that I don't like hanging out with people, but it can get overwhelming for sure. It's weird to deal with.
Well, thank you for coming.
No. This is fine. Like chilling with people in a room is cool, but like it's more of just like when people put me up on a pedestal, I'm just like, I'm the same as you.
I mean, I was really impressed when I first saw you guys at the Niagara Night of Art when Teal and I both met you that night.
Right.
Just seeing fans that were so dedicated, they were dressing up in like costumes,
right? That was cool,
having a great time with it.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. I consider them my friends more than like my fans.
That's good.
Followers. Yeah.
It's good to be that close.
Well, you got the big wow factor at the beginning, but like I had said before, I had met you for the first time and literally just saying, "Hey, this is what we want to do." I didn't know you. I didn't know your music.
In the basement of a.
In the basement, and then we collaborated more on the artistic side, and I grew to like it. And I'm, like, as I said, excited for the album and excited for the future possibilities. And we know that we now have a good team to collaborate with.
Absolutely.
I found it kind of interesting the way that I don't know what you would call it, but you posted something with about Godin guitars. Like you got is a sponsorship the right
Yeah,
word?
it's like an endorsement, I would call it.
An endorsement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
What's it like to get something like that? Like, did you have to approach them or?
yeah, I approached them. I'm not, one of the stipulations is I'm not allowed to talk about like what I get from them.
Well, no, I don't care about that necessarily. I just want to know, like, it's kind of interesting. Like, are they very supportive of Canadian musicians?
Yeah, because they're a Canadian company, so that's an awesome part of them. Yeah, I think like I think it's all still manufactured straight out of Canada. Like
I know a lot of the wood comes from Quebec or something like that, or at least the craftsmanship is.
My guitar has maple wood in it.
Yeah.
You know, like it was cheap for how like great it is.
Oh, I've heard a lot of good things about them. I used to play a little bit more guitar, but like you go to the guitar shop and some of them don't sell Gibson or Epiphone or anything just because there's certain restrictions on that. But they'll have a Godin guitar and they'll tell you everything great about it.
It's great.
I picked it up. It felt like a great guitar, at least the one that I was playing with.
I bought mine like 6 years ago. It's my first guitar ever, and I still have it. I still play it.
A good first choice, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I've a lot of them are not so good. I mean, I've had lots of guitars.
Yeah, I did spend like a fair amount, obviously, but like I knew I wanted to do it, so.
But I mean, you could spend $1,000 on an Epiphone that's gonna go out of tune every 15 minutes you're playing it or something.
That's the nice thing about it being made here is that you're not paying too much money for any like shipping.
Yeah, and there's lots of I would imagine Canadian quality control is probably pretty decent. It's good. I don't know. Has there been any other endorsements or anything else that you're?
I'm still trying. I'm actually really surprised that it was Godin that said yes. Like I thought it'd be like a string company or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Who's your
small.
website manufacturer?
Who did the website?
Yeah,
Katie Gatta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should. You should design your website on Squarespace. Then go to Squarespace and.
Oh, you get a plug from them,
Get a plug from them. Get an affiliate link. They'll do anybody.
I guess you could put a little Squarespace like QR code in your guitar or something. That's true. Be an absolute shill.
Oh my god, no.
They have a weird Squarespace has a weird commercial that they released with the Super Bowl that has Keanu Reeves motorcycle, like riding his motorcycle, talking about.
I've seen that
website.
I've seen that ad pops up for me.
Yeah, so kind of odd marketing.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, they do sort of give links out, the affiliate links to just about anybody.
I'm pretty sure I saw the funniest thing. It's like slightly off topic, but kind of the same.
No, there's nothing off topic here.
Xavier Rudd's music or him, I forget which one it was. It was either his music or him featured in like a KFC commercial, and he was deemed like the sexiest vegetarian in the world or something.
It's a very interesting title.
Yeah, it was such a funny experience to hear that or see it. I can't remember if he was like featured in it. I think it was just his song.
Well, you know what he definitely didn't get? He didn't get like a black card where he could have all the KFC he wanted.
That would be.
Who knows?
That's
Times are probably hurt,
dangerous.
and he's probably dealing with like some rent issues or something.
Oh no, that would be a problem. Unlimited KFC. I would not live the life I want to live if I'm eating KFC all the time.
Oh man, I feel like crap.
You would. I avoid it, believe it or not. I haven't had KFC or Popeyes in a long time. I've had fried chicken. We've had
like homemade fried chicken.
Oh yeah, and then in the States here and there. But
oh yeah,
I don't go out for fried chicken. I'm fat, but I'm not that fat. I don't have to go out for KFC. I'll cook a chicken breast, and I'm good. The album release night. I'm very curious. How long into the night are we gonna have to wait to hear you guys play?
Good question. I'm trying to think of what the actual lineup is. I think it's like closer to 11.
Okay.
I want to say.
Okay, a little bit later at night.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit later because there's 2 other bands before us, and I think the doors are like 8 or 8:30.
I think so. That sounds about right.
So first band probably at 9, second band 10. Then we're 11 probably till like 1. I don't know.
That works. That's it. The other release we went to at the warehouse, it was nice, but there was a lot of people that I didn't know or particularly care about. It was nice to hear you perform. I didn't really understand the point of having the acrobatic women who eventually served drinks.
Yeah. It's some special
women
potion.
Wait, what?
Are you having the acrobatic women?
No.
Okay, good.
It was a very strange
I think it'd be
tradition.
cool to do like in a big venue with like, you know, if it was like executed properly.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of theatrics, but like they got to be done right. It can't be
So
cheesy.
then when does the Roadways jukebox musical come out?
It's
and
actually,
how can I be a part of it?
Oh, that sounds brilliant. Let's start working on it.
Okay. I've always wanted to write my own musical that doesn't involve me writing the music. Just writing the story in between the songs, that'd be neat.
I feel that would take a little bit more creativity to try to weave things, make a story out of an album.
Well, there's so many musicals.
We'd have to work together on it. It'd have to be like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's so many musicals that come out that they're so thinly. I think at this point the most popular one would be Mamma Mia. That
thinly held together.
Yeah, that took a catalog of songs and created a story. Then you have ones I've seen quite a few of them. For what it's worth, there was a musical about Carole King. I don't know if you know who that is, but
that sounds so familiar.
Very famous songwriter, but also eventually became a singer. And that one was probably the worst written one that I saw, only because they didn't even hide the fact the story involved her writing the song, so it wasn't even creatively singing the song. So it's just like, hey, we wrote this song and now we're going to sing it type thing.
What?
Whereas Mamma Mia, you say a line of dialogue, you're like, oh, here we go again. La da 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 da.
I guess
it fits into the story better.
Yeah.
I don't think of it. Jersey Boys is really well.
Jersey Boys is very well done.
Yeah, the story is very fluid. You don't really see any jumps in it.
The stage musical is a lot better than the movie. I've seen the stage musical a few times. I'm a big kind of musical nut, and then the movie is fine too, only because they kind of show how they came up with the music rather than just say, "Hey, we wrote this song. Let's sing about it." It's we're watching a movie where a woman gets slapped and then she's not going to cry because big girls don't cry, and then that's it. Big girls don't cry.
All you need is the one good punchline of the song, and you're good to
Do
go.
songs come to you like that, or you're just hanging around and?
Oh, like one song ever, and it's on this album.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Stronger. I was just walking, like I went through some shit and was in a bad mood, was on a walk, and it just like came to me. It's the only time it's ever happened, like where like the whole song was there. I wrote it down, remembered the melody.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's your usual process for?
I usually like create something cool, put it away. Create something cool, put it away. Create something cool, and then like smush it together. You'll see in the other songs, they're like very like all over the map. Like, and I was just about to say too, if I was ever to write the music to like a musical, I think I'd just go all in. It would be like pretty like crazy, like Prodigy like. I'm not a Prodigy, but like it would sound like I was. You know, I'd be like there'd be a lot of like time changes and like craziness. It'd be fun.
It'd be
like classical style, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Well, maybe in the future, one day, there'll be a DH Media produced stage musical with Roadways music.
Add that one to the list. That'd be pretty cool.
Rock opera.
Like,
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I would kill to have Broadway producer credits on our name, even if it was just like a independent.
It'd be so fun.
Off
Honestly.
Broadway, like independent production in St. Catharines or something. That'd be fun.
It'd be super fun. And I know that St. Catharines is very supportive of the theater scene.
Very supportive of the arts.
The arts
just
in general, yeah. Absolutely.
And it's St. Catharines really is artists from all different types of backgrounds supporting other artists. Like with the Mel Monaco release, you get a psychotic magician who's awesome. And you get a singer who does traditional Christmas music. You get you guys performing. And it's just,
We didn't perform that.
Why were we there then?
I don't remember.
You weren't there at all?
There was a release music video release party. That was the
Why were
gist
we
of it.
there?
There was a band that did play there. Was it theater?
I think it was just a social thing. We were just hanging out.
Really?
Yeah.
then where, when? It's all blending together.
It does, yeah. I mean, if it's at the same venue every single time, it does contribute to it blending together.
No worries, dude. It happens a lot, especially to people that are on stage. I was gonna say that earlier, actually. Part of the weird part about like being a musician is that you're on stage and like everyone's looking at you constantly, but like you can't really see anyone because you got all these lights.
Yeah, it's pretty blinding.
So then, like when people come up to you on the street, they're like, "How's it going, man?" Like you should know them, and you're like, "I have no clue who you are." I'm sorry.
Were you the guy in the front row? I don't know.
Well, thankfully, if you can get used to that, your level of stardom, it'll never change. Because when you become a giant, I mean, it's not going to change when you play giant stadiums. There's going to be
Budweiser
thousands
stage
of people that have a personal relationship with you because they love your music, and then they walk up and they're like, "Hey!" You're like, "Security."
No, see, I don't mind when it's at a show. Like,
have you had people come up to you?
Yeah, I don't.
The street?
I don't mind when it's on the street either. That's not. It's just weird when it's on the street because I'm genuinely expecting me to like remember who they are, and then I'm like, oh, I actually literally don't know who you are at all. But like when it's at a show, it's like obviously they're coming up and saying good job and stuff like that. But I don't mind it either way. I'm just clarifying that it's weird when it's on the street because I'm like, who are you?
Interesting thing. Somebody that we know, and I'm not going to name just for the sake of how the information was discovered. Somebody we know who works at a call center was making a phone call with just some random Canadian. And it just so happened that they were trying to dispute some kind of charge on their account. Some music wasn't showing up that they were listening to. And this person was listing off the music. I'm like, yeah, I still got this band, I still got this band, I still got Road Waves, I still got this band, and just kept going. And
I didn't know the story.
Yeah, and the conversation had to stop there because they had to be transferred to, because since they were Canadian, they would be transferred to a different one because Canadians can't service other Canadians when it comes to like telecommunication. It was for Apple Music, but anyways, I just apparently a random person by proxy that would.
That's amazing.
Called in and was like, "Yeah, I got Road Wave still on my iTunes, but I'm missing this other music."
That's super cool. Thank you to whoever you are for listening to us.
Transitioning to the iTunes stuff.
Yeah.
I know we had talked about it before, but with because you're on Apple Music.
Yep.
Is the album for sale on iTunes, or will the album be for sale on iTunes, or are you just going the Apple Music route?
I think
I don't have Apple Music.
I think it will be. Can you is our first album on iTunes? Because I don't have an Apple product. Okay. I used to, but
what's the name of the first album?
The Lighthouse. So if it's on there, then yes, because I figured it out.
You figured it out?
Because it's a part of the process. Like there's this thing called an aggregator. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they like kind of
them to put. That's what puts it out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
And they have like a list of stuff, and I assume that this is part of it.
I mentioned. Do you know what the fees are to post stuff on iTunes?
I just posted the single, and I think it was like $30, but I think the whole album's like $100. And there's different companies, and they do it differently. And we picked the one that has no residual payments because there's some that are like it's a cheap price at first, but
you got to pay a lot.
Like $40 a year. But like, what happens when you have 12 albums in like 10 years or whatever, or like 20 years or whatever, and then you have to pay like $40 for each one every year, right?
Yeah.
So we went the one
the Lighthouse.
Pay a lot.
Road Waves.
There it is.
It's on iTunes.
Yeah, so it's part of it. So yeah, it will be on iTunes.
Copyright infringement.
Don't do it. Dude, I wonder if YouTube would content ideas. I don't know how that.
How does the ownership for your songs work?
That album is creative content except for commercial use.
Okay.
We don't make money off this, so
yeah. So you're free to use this, even if, and I have to give you permission anyway. So like, I would, if you wanted to monetize your videos eventually, I would allow that. Like, I don't care. You're my friends, and even if you weren't my friends, it's whatever. It's your podcast.
It's getting that out there.
You're not taking advantage of it or whatever.
No.
Or like manipulating or anything. What, you know what I mean? So like, it usually comes down to like my call, but like I haven't dealt with anything where it's like something random, like someone, because like I know this happened with one of my favorite bands in Hamilton, Flat 5. Like I found their album on YouTube, and it wasn't them that uploaded it, and I was like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So I messaged them, and I don't know if they dealt with it, but like
the content ID system for music especially is very effective. So whatever system it takes to get your stuff registered, that you know you're the proper owner, like if you have the Vivo channel or something,
Yeah.
pretty much as soon as somebody uploads it, it gets flagged and removed
Right.
immediately.
Right.
But I don't know what it takes to get registered into that
Yeah,
system.
see, I don't know if I should upload the album right away to YouTube. I don't think I should, because I think we should have it available elsewhere for a while, and then eventually upload it there when it's a bit less relevant and people can find it. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure what's the benefit of doing that. You think?
Of holding out just to get, I don't know, get more purchases or.
Well,
Yeah,
the
Because
problem
we don't monetize, so we don't get anything from that. But it does give us fans, so it's good in the long run. But like,
Yeah.
once you put it on YouTube, though, it's so it's easy enough to take. But once you put it on YouTube, it's so easy to just go like YouTube to MP3, and then they can steal the entire album if they want to.
and they can already do that
It's
probably,
inevitable.
but like, I know what you mean. It's even easier. It's just
You
like
should just release the Red Sun Rising music videos on YouTube.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We'll do
Just-
10 music videos, one for every song.
God, that'd be a lot of work.
would be a lot of work.
Be fun.
But I don't know. Just I guess basically encouraging people to like seek our stuff.
Yeah. I hope that works. I don't really know anything about
'Cause-
marketing music.
Because right now, like, yeah, exactly. It's a big world, and like right now, we don't really show up on suggested things because we're not big enough. We don't get enough views and stuff. Like, we don't have enough subscribers or whatever. So like, there's not really the point. Like, we don't. It's never anyone outside of our circle because we haven't hit that bubble of being on suggested videos. It's so like.
YouTube's not what it was. I mean,
No, it's completely different.
It's hard to because
It's not new anymore.
no.
Facebook is great. You have 5,000 views on your music video. And it used to be that you could, within reason, with a margin of error, translate that to YouTube if you link the YouTube video to Facebook. Now it seems, just for whatever reason, the clicks and the ratio doesn't seem to work out, so you can't get people to YouTube.
Yeah, they definitely penalize you. If you post a YouTube link, it won't show up as much on people's feeds.
So it is better to just embed on Facebook.
Absolutely.
You promoted the music video. Have you seen has the music video increased your like base at all?
Yes. And our people's interest in us again. Because it comes in waves. And
Waves.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And like, it's just kind of re-sparked people, I guess. They got excited. They heard some new content. Everyone loves new content. And then, so I guess people are messaging me now, you know, looking for tickets for our CD release and whatnot. So,
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
what you want.
That's the goal.
Building the hype.
That's the goal, exactly.
It's cool.
And I think a music video, even now, is a great way to build the hype. And
Absolutely.
and
it turned out great.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure artists of all type do it, but now that it's done, there's so many. I'm super excited for the next one because I know tons of things I'd like to do differently, and most of them are actually just like simple film director type stuff, just to make every shot that much tighter, that much everything's timed out better. Just little things here and there that really brings it together.
I think for the next music video or any type, the one thing that's very different in producing a music video versus doing a wedding or a commercial or a movie is for music videos and commercials, you're given this time limit. For commercials, it's 30 seconds or a minute. For a music video, it's generally the length of the music
3
video.
to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes. Some music videos do drop. The music does drop away.
It's a bit longer, yeah.
It is a bit longer, but I don't like it when they do that.
It's
Most
not
of
as
the
bad
time.
for me if it's at the beginning or the end, but sometimes they do it in the middle. It's like,
just
what?
weird. But doing the music video, we had planned shots that didn't see the light of day.
Oh no, but that's everything. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever happened to that drone shot that just went straight
there
up?
was no time.
Yeah.
We
I was thinking
need
about
you
that.
to release your Stairway to Heaven version of So Long, and we can put every shot that we had in there. We need
or
an
how about
extended
how about a
version.
2112 so we can get like 20 minutes of music in.
But no, that was fun. So I think in round 2, like somebody so nicely commented on the DH Media blog, we'd be
Oh, yeah.
in the fall.
Absolutely. The cool thing too, I think, for you guys now is that you'll get to hear the album, so you'll have like a better
Picture of it for sure.
Yeah, and like, I mean, this time around it was kind of our choice. Where we were like, I think we're gonna go with So Long, but this time I think we'll give it to you because it's like now you can hear it, the whole thing, and be like, this will work great.
How do you feel about maybe the next music video? Like, would you still want stuff that's in a concert setting, or do you think maybe you go the route of there's the full pick a story and a full narrative?
Yeah, I think full narrative. I think it'd even be cool to like not include the band members this time. I don't know.
You could just use some actors that we could get together.
Yeah.
There's lots that can be done, and the whole idea and concept behind the original video, again, links below, was to do stuff that we knew we could do, and we knew we could do well. The whole idea of doing it at the warehouse kind of came in last minute, but as soon as we realized that we could make the cool transition and then control, because being outside is nice.
It is, yeah.
The hike was horrible.
It was long, but I think it was worth it. I enjoyed myself down there.
Yeah, it was fun.
Of course.
But being on location, you see why so many film productions would prefer to build a soundstage and work on location. You can control everything.
Absolutely.
And we didn't have to use our rain day. It was the best day you could have got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It even looked basically like we saw it when we location scouted because we got that level of snow.
It was pretty similar for sure.
Yeah.
It's very different going down there at different times.
I'm going to go down there in the summer.
Yeah.
Without the 100 pounds of gear.
I was just there today. I went hiking.
Yeah.
It was pretty ambient. I went to the other side of you know where we came up with the steel staircase.
Mm-hmm.
If you go the other way that we like away from the whirlpool, there's like little caves everywhere.
Yeah,
that's neat.
It's really cool down there.
Man. I love it there.
I was trying to find deer. I couldn't find any. Found a lot of caves though.
What's your album turnaround time? Like, do you release this album? You're touring. How long's the tour?
The tour right now is 5 months.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Looking at the stops, and you just go east and then you come right back and head the other way.
Yeah. After like a week of being back. So like, you mean like for our next album?
Yeah, like when do you have?
We do have a goal to be back in the studio in the winter.
So you already have songs for your next album planned in some capacity. You have a rough idea. Is there one on the go?
Like I have a bunch of songs that will probably make the cut, like that I've already written a while ago. But right now, there's not really many new things. Like there's a bunch of ideas. There's nothing like fully written as a song, but I have like a billion ideas that I've recorded and like we'll probably end up using.
I guess we could bring up some of the other band members. How does everybody sort of collaborate and contribute their own stuff? Like I know I saw, especially when we were in the studio, you had a lot of input for everybody. It seems like you had a really good master picture, but I'd like to know how maybe Don comes in with keyboard stuff.
Right. So a big part of it is I'll write the song usually before bringing it to the table, and then I'll just kind of like let them, their instincts or intuition take over and, you know, fill in the gaps. They know exactly what to do. Like they're great at what they do. Mm-hmm. And then if I hear something that's a bit weak or like just could be stronger, I'll usually just point it out or whatever. Yeah, I don't like to tell them what to play too much.
No, everybody likes their own little creative.
Exactly. I like to give them like more of an idea or like a concept, like a build up, you know, or whatever, instead of being like hit these whatever. So that's kind of how it goes. And then like Don is big on like making his own patches. So like, you know, synth patches and stuff like that. So like most of the tones that you're hearing, he like sat there all night probably like tweaking like a tone. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of his keyboards have like a screen where you can see the vibration. So he's like, and he knows what he's talking about. He knows what all the knobs mean and stuff.
I know a little bit about building like pedal boxes for guitars and stuff, but I don't know anything about how you would do that with a keyboard.
So like with the pedal box, it's like or a pedal board or whatever, like I have my pedals, but like each of them have already got like some programmed things, and I just like tweak that.
Yeah.
But like he's literally like doing what my pedal builder would be doing. You know what I mean? Like on the fly. Not on the fly. Usually, like he has like presets and stuff like that, but like he's building his own sounds.
That's
literally.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, from scratch.
It definitely gives an originality to the music.
Absolutely.
Because you're creating sounds that theoretically nobody's ever
Sonically
heard before.
Sonically, for sure.
In so long, it definitely sounds a bit like maybe a pipe organ kind of sound, but it's very modified from that starting point.
He's got that Nord like stage 2 or something, and it's just it's a great simulator. It's amazing.
So do any of the other band members write just for fun, or is it just you like?
Right now I'm the only one that writes like
So
actively.
You are just in your you know what your defined roles are.
Yeah.
That's neat.
But I am always encouraging them to write something. Like if, let's say I put the guitar down for a sec, you know, take a phone call or something, and I come back down to the basement and they're grooving out on something, I'm always like, you guys just wrote the sweetest thing. Just like take it and run. And like everyone just takes their own time. You can't force it. It would be a shitty song if I tried to force them to write it, you know?
I work with somebody who writes books, and her turnover rate for books is insane. Like
Some people are crazy.
She'll have a new novel, like 200-page, not full like Harry Potter length novel, but a 200-page, 8.5 by 5.5 size novel in a week. And I sit and write for years.
Yeah, but what's she doing with this? Is she self-publishing or?
Amazon. Then Amazon now with Audible, except I don't know if it's through Audible or still through Amazon, but you can now pay to have people do audiobook versions of your books.
Yeah.
And you can...
Those gigs pay well too.
Yeah.
I know that Don actually is like working on that, like voice acting.
The writer told me I should, since we have the microphones, I should try it. Yeah. Just to put my voice out there.
Yeah,
your
just look
radio
up some exercises that you do with your voices, and you can get like the inflections down.
His radio voice is pretty decent when he's trying.
Thank you very much.
Although you do have a little bit of practice at least, so that
I did.
Must help.
Three consecutive seasons of radio hosting. Did okay. However, that by the end, I had a movie review show in college, and by the end, it was all acting. It wasn't real anymore, because the whole concept of the reviews are real. The whole concept of the show was I was doing this show with somebody who nobody wanted to do a show with. And I mean, I won't go into the deep reasons, but he wasn't the most popular. He wasn't technically, like, as far as mixing or anything like that goes, the brightest. So we recorded the pilot, me thinking the radio station isn't going, it was for college. The radio station won't pick it up because they don't want this. Because he did all the mixing for the pilot, and I just went in and recorded what I thought of. I think the movie reviewed for the pilot was like Batman Begins. So I went and I talked, and they picked it up for the semester. So the entire first semester, it was me actually hating the fact that I had to do this. And then the nice thing about it was I got 5% extra for doing the radio show. By season 2, I was done with radio, so I didn't get the benefit. So I started hating it. And then I was kind of like, well, it's kind of neat. We had one of, if not the highest listened to radio show, so it was kind of neat. Nice. But highest listening to means that I think at our peak, 30 people might have been listening. That's a college radio station. That's
still something, though.
By the third season, I began to like the guy, but our interactions through sarcasm and whatnot were what made the show big. So it became him being normal and me pretending I hated it more than I actually did. So I got to push his buttons more. There was a episode where he picked a movie that his best friend, who this is not a good joke, but his best friend who had died of cancer, it was his favorite movie. and I can't remember the movie. But just, and I'm not. It's too bad. As I'm starting to tell the story, because the whole point of the show was to get him to flare up, and he didn't catch it, which is good because it was probably the meanest thing that I said. Because I said during the radio show that, and he didn't say why he picked the movie, but I did say, this movie is so bad, no person living or dead should ever listen to it or watch it. He didn't catch it. And at that point, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull back just a little bit.
I wonder if all 30 people who were listening were just like, oh, God.
But none of them would have known the backstory.
No, I guess not.
Right.
It's kind of like an inside joke.
But he didn't get it. It was an interesting experience to be on the radio. So I do miss it. This is very similar to that.
Do any of the band members have like education based around music or
I know that
producing
Don
content?
is like classically trained.
Yeah.
And is taking jazz piano lessons.
Oh.
And he's a vocal coach.
It's kind of neat. I always wanted to at least try to see if I could even sing, if the potential is even there.
I think everyone can sing. It's just about, we all have unique voices. Then you need to learn how to like execute it, right?
I've wondered if I could too.
Like definitely when certain songs are on, I can feel that I can hit certain vocal ranges more, but I don't know if that's
true.
where the hard limit is or
No,
what.
that's like when you get a vocal coach, they give you like your range, and you work on like building or expanding your range. That's what a vocal coach is for, and then you can hit those other notes a bit more comfortably, and then you know where you like. That's why certain artists like will tell their band like, let's change the key of this song to G or whatever because my voice can sing it better or whatever. Like so, if you can find like what your range is, then you can just kind of, it's easier, and that's a normal thing. Like you're not supposed to be able to hit every note.
That was pure talent.
Well, that's the thing is like there are some people that are like just brilliant right off the hop, but I do believe that anyone can learn anything.
That's cool. I always wanted to master the singing and playing guitar at the same kind of time.
Yeah, that is a bit of a trick at first for sure, and it still is with like difficult, funky grooves and stuff like that. But it's just about, I can easily say that the best practice you can do is learn the vocals first, or not, doesn't matter which one you learn first, but learn each one individually really well.
And then try to do it.
And then practice both of them together, so it's like a 3-piece kind of a thing.
It's neat. I know we had talked about it, and I had asked you, and then we went to Florida, so I put it on the back burner, but I still want to go and buy a guitar. I liked it, and I need something creative to put new energy into.
Mm-hmm. And now with the internet, it's great. You can look up anything. Oh, yeah. Like I'm a YouTube student. Like I learned my jazz theory on YouTube.
It's the weird thing too, because even when I was a kid, I guess it was technically accessible that I could have got tabs on the internet, but I just didn't. For whatever reason, I found it very difficult and frustrating to learn the full songs and stuff as a kid. Mm-hmm. Now, if I pick it up, even though I probably was more, I was able to hold the guitar better when I was younger. I feel like I don't get deterred so easily anymore, and that's it's kind of nice being an adult and being able to look at it rationally. Like if I just keep doing this over and over again, it's gonna sound okay eventually.
Having the self-control to just do it, and the self-awareness,
and that's learning as an adult too. I think when you're a kid, the idea of learning is very forced.
You don't like the idea.
It's like you don't like the idea.
Like vegetables. It's like blah.
But you eventually reach a point. As I've said, I'm taking online courses for certain things where you want to learn, and the fact that you can learn at your own pace.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love about the internet. It's like I can look up a musical concept, read over it, practice it a bunch, and there's no time limit. I can just like close the tab and like get back to it whenever I'm feeling.
That's just it. Like we've talked about before, if anybody asks me nowadays, I 100% say don't waste the money on film school unless you want the connections. Just buy the camera and
get out there, make something different.
Yeah. There's enough free content or content that you can buy for a few $100s or even a few $1,000s if you want to go the higher end.
Invest, yeah.
I mean, when you have Martin Scorsese teaching you filmmaking on Masterclass,
I know
you can't get much better than that.
No. Sure beats my teacher who spent my entire student career shooting a documentary about wine.
Right. And even my approach too with music can be applied to like a lot of arts, where I find that the biggest lessons are in the art itself. Like when I learn a song in depth, like a horn line or something like that, like I feel like I'm sitting down in the room with that sax player or whatever. And it's the same thing. Like you could, with any art, is like, you know, watching a film and seeing how they do it and stuff like that. Because then when you're executing, you kind of like, oh, I know exactly, like, what would he do? Or you kind of get in that mode.
I kind of wonder if I would feel differently about music if I looked into it more and you got more, you know, onto the guitar side. Because when I watch movies, definitely for at least the past 5 years or so, I thought every time the camera cuts to something, like what kind of cut they're using or like why something was done a certain way.
I do the same
Welcome
thing with
to the
music.
past
I know.
decade
I know.
of my life.
And you can't
I do the same thing with music.
you can't untrain your
I'm
brain
like,
to do
wow,
that.
the way that they created tension in the music
Yeah.
as soon as the drama unfolded, it's like it's all that stuff.
And for me, it's a lot of, I guess it's a lot of the film and the negative stuff. Like you're like, oh, the guy walked into the room and looked at his mark on the floor.
Yep.
Great.
That happens.
right,
a lot.
right.
The two things that really bother me right now, because I notice it in every movie, and then I'll give a more specific example of something completely different. When they do an over-the-shoulder shot, so if there was a camera here of me talking to you, they care more about your reaction than they do my jaw moving. So you see it all the time in movies where we're talking, but the jaw doesn't.
You don't get the reaction on that.
You get your reaction,
Huh.
but sometimes you can very clearly tell that what I'm saying isn't
out
the
of
audio.
sync.
It's so bad,
Uh-huh.
and some are so shameless. Like they'll be talking, and then they finally start.
That's a different. I've never noticed.
Yeah,
that
I've never
movie.
noticed that at all.
Oh,
Now
now you will.
I'm gonna look for it. Yeah.
When you talk about music and suspense, I bought a movie the other day, sequel to Deep Blue Sea, 1999 shark movie, Deep Blue Sea 2. It was supposed to be released on Sci-Fi. Deep Blue Sea, not a classic movie by any means, but probably the best shark movie since Jaws. It's not a high bar there. I watched Deep Blue Sea last night.
Okay.
I watched Deep Blue Sea 2 this morning. When you compare the two, Deep Blue Sea, the first one, the way it uses suspense in its camera work, its music especially, you know, music can create a lot, and then just the acting and whatnot, it is a cinematic masterpiece compared to the bullshit of Deep Blue Sea 2. Their sets were horrible, the CG was bad, the music was non-existent for the most part. It's really hard to build any type of suspense when it's just splashing. I mean,
Crazy.
sometimes maybe, but the entire movie, when it's just people splashing around or yelling or crying, it's very interesting. So there is something to be said about musical cues and build up.
One thing I think of a little bit when you're comparing new to old is you see a lot of the limitations of the old way that you would record onto a medium coming through. And I think music's a lot like that too. Like now, to get something to record music, it takes relatively no money compared to
Use
what it
one
would have
of
been.
these mics.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you can get yourself out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of color that adds to the music people are making necessarily these days. Like, is it limiting us, or is having all these options open sort of overwhelming?
It's a bit of both. I think it balances itself out. Like there's so much stuff out there, this oversaturation of like content, obviously because of the internet, like you can see anything all around the world. But I think that it also like kind of illuminates the real people a bit better. It's not, you don't just need money now. You actually have to have good content.
A good personality and,
Yeah.
and be able to sell something a little
Exactly.
bit different.
People need to connect with you more
Yeah, I think
as a person.
like the music side, our side, there's so much video content. I mean, just this alone, there's so many podcasts. You have to be happy when you get one like every few weeks.
I try to tell people that. They're like, you know, how do I get more like likes or followers? I'm like, how many do
You
you
can-
have? And they give me a number, and it's like, that's a great number. Like
Yeah.
those people care about you. Just like care back, and you'll get more. Just-
Exactly.
If you want the number to go up, you can spend money. But if you got a
Not
lot
ne-
of
but not
You're
necessarily.
gonna spend money regardless. Like
Yeah.
invest in your craft and marketing and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like, don't make that
The
your
priority.
your marketing goal or your marketing strategy is putting just money into an ad, right? Like there has to be some good content to
For
go
sure.
with it.
We'll get more follows on Facebook because we post a highlight reel from a wedding video from 2 or 3 years ago.
Because people get
Because
enthusiastic because
people
they're like,
get
I was at that
enthusiastic.
wedding and look at this
Exactly.
video.
And I will tell you that the way that Facebook has been changing, like okay, last year or a couple years ago, they put out like this poll. I think it was mostly in Europe, but it asked most people on Facebook in that.
I'm sorry, I just drank your water.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yours is colder. As soon as it was cold in my mouth, I'm like, this isn't my water.
So like I think they gave certain people a question on Facebook, like what do you want to see more of and what do you want to see less of, and more people they want to see more like friend posts and family posts, like relevant stuff that they enjoy, and less promotional posts. So Facebook is now like they'll penalize a post if it's too promotional, or if it's something that's coming in a week as opposed to tomorrow or today. You know what I mean? Like certain keywords, like too much text on a photo.
Yeah, the text on the photo, when I did the first test just to share the page itself, because it was sharing the cover page, because it had the phone number at the bottom, they actually said no, just because it was
No
too
to
much.
Well, you can
Really?
get a manual review.
Yeah,
I don't know if
which
you-
I did.
Yeah.
And they accepted it because it wasn't like it was a special promo. It was actually our Facebook cover page.
Right.
Yeah.
We did the same with our tour poster just yesterday.
Because that's a lot of text.
That's a lot of
That's
text,
all
right? So,
text.
yeah, and they're like basically the same thing, and then we hit the manual review, and yeah, it's fine. It's doing good.
That's interesting that it can detect
Yeah.
all that in the photo.
Totally.
What if you use some really weird font or something and
I don't know.
try to blend it in? There's got to be a way to do it.
What if you were a calligrapher?
Yeah.
That was your job.
You could just make up a font.
No, I'm saying, well, yeah, you could make up a font, but what if you're a calligrapher and that's what you're selling?
But
Words and fonts.
Yeah.
I kind of like it though, their approach, because it forces you to have relevant and real content. You know what I mean? Like you can't just have a bunch of text and like create this ad that like is going to show up in front of people. It's like it's a more genuine approach. It's like they want their Facebook users to enjoy the site
And be
not
engaged.
just be like have all these ads in your face that don't mean anything to you. So it's like it forces the
Except if they're the paid ads that are on the side of the screen. I don't know.
But that's what I mean is that there's certain like limitations on the paid ad. So it forces the person creating the ad to create something that somebody's actually going to connect with, because that's how you get more engagement.
Yes.
And the more organic engagement you get, the more organic like time on the news feed they give you.
I'm curious as to what ads I would see if I scroll, but I could think of things like shoes or
People
or
will target
watches.
you.
Yeah,
That's the thing,
it's
right?
definitely targeted ads because
Yeah.
it will come up if I've been searching something similar.
Whenever
but
I
it's-
Right.
target ads,
So, like-
it's always newly engaged.
I get CIBC.
Like I can target ads that like to people who, hey, there's our ad.
Oh yeah, there you go. There's the
Yeah.
poster.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is
I mean, it-
sponsored? It is sponsored.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it helps too that I have a ton of friends that are also
Well, yeah.
liking the content.
Because we chose our demographic as people who like our page and their friends.
That's clever.
Yeah.
It works.
And it works as a band, especially because it's like, it's hard to just target music lovers. You know how many music lovers there are? Like, it's so hard to
It's really weird when a person says, "I don't like music."
yeah,
Like,
that's
that
very weird. I've only met a
throws me
handful of people like that.
You don't like any type of rhythmic
There's-
melody?
Nothing makes your hips sway, like your foot tap, I don't know.
I think there's some religious extremists that perhaps for religious reasons, like all music is not good.
I've shot a wedding where older religious people have walked out when the music starts.
Yeah.
There are some people that
crazy.
don't like it unless it's gospel organ,
but
which I mean, it's amazing to twerk to organ music, but
I mean, even that could be interesting. But it's interesting that people be so shut out by something that's been part of all human cultures for so long.
Yeah, but that's the crazy part too. If you go back enough in time, like certain intervals of notes were like illegal.
Illegal?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like
What's,
the flat fifth or the tritone was the devil's chord.
Is this like in Europe or
Yeah, like in
like
classical
medieval
times.
oh,
Medieval
classical times?
Yeah.
I could see that. They're
Yeah.
pretty Puritan.
Yeah, like
Botanical.
so, like the tension in that chord was considered illegal. You were not allowed to have that in your music.
I just never have heard
Yeah,
of anything
and
like
that's
that.
why, like that actually was a huge interval in blues music, and like like that. That's actually the blues note. Yeah, is the flatted fifth or the blues note. That's what it's called.
I'm thinking of the story of the guy that learned to play the guitar from the devil at the crossroads or whatever. And there's this weird, the original writer of a song where that reference came from. I can hear the note in my
Robert
head.
Johnson?
Robert Johnson, that's his name.
Yeah.
The way that he played, just that's what I think about
That's an
classic blues music.
insane story. That guy.
It's way too much to go into detail.
Yeah.
On the podcast. For
Yeah.
But, it's worth looking up, anyways, for anybody at home.
Yeah. And one thing I want to point out too that's really cool about music, I've always thought about this. I think I read it in like a Trey Anastasio interview or something, but how music wasn't invented. Music theory wasn't invented by like musicians. It's physics. You know what I mean? Like the way that there's tension in a chord. It's not because we decided that these notes would have tension. They're literally vibrating in a dissonant way, and that's pure physics.
Yeah, the calculation of like I guess what I guess you would say harmonics would be. You can pretty much predict stuff that would sound musical.
That's how people compose music without even having to like have an instrument.
And then if
they're
you
like the perfect fourth chord would be great here, and then like a substitute chord or whatever. Like
I mean,
you can hear it. You can train your ear to hear that, your mind's ear.
with people on guitars, especially and other stringed instruments, you just learn scales and you can just riff off of that all day long.
Yeah,
there's a lot you can do with just knowing what sounds harmonically good together.
Absolutely, and it's about getting to a point where you don't have to think about those things when you're doing it on the fly, like instinctual. It's good to get in that muscle memory mode. Not too autopilot, like you don't want to go through the motions when you're in the middle of a jam, but you also don't want to be overthinking everything.
And that's more for when you're writing music or when you're performing
Improvising.
something you already have? Improvise.
Like when you're playing a show and you're in the middle of like an extended jam section.
Do you find that you improvise in most songs if you
every song,
every
no
song.
matter like I mean, even the songs that I'm not improvising the notes, I'm improvising my approach or like my effect pedals or like there's always something I'm having fun with.
I know that the Beatles said it a long time ago where they would say that they have more creative freedom in the studio because fans would start making them stick to a certain way of playing it.
I'm not like that at all.
Yeah.
We play our songs differently every single time.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's once you get so big that people expect you to play. Hey, I heard it on the album like this. You gotta play exactly that way.
We're also to play the hits.
We're also though in a genre that doesn't. We're in a jam band genre, which is like that's to be expected. You go to a show and you're getting like a 20-minute long so long.
Yeah,
which is what we need to complete the music video. Bring the microphone.
Like we like the unpredictable, and I think that's our shtick. Is that you don't know what you're gonna get, and I think that's like a genuine thing, and it's not cheesy, and it's like it keeps it fun for us too, because then we practice music in a way that allows us to like use it like an artist would like a palette of colors or whatever, whatever that thing's called. But
I think a palette.
A palette
is that what it is? Yeah. But yeah, just like because we don't want to play the song the exact same way every night, so we practice music in a way that allows us to understand the progression and be able to conceptualize differently each night.
And that sounds really cool for people who love music. But I mean, if you think of people that are pop music stars and they get the top 40 hits, I don't think they improvise anything really.
No, there's not too much. There's some artists though that do, but like maybe a quick guitar solo or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like. That's more of the underground world of music, and it's kind of always been like that. It's too unpredictable for like to sell records, I guess.
To the mindless
to
masses.
Exactly, right?
Just want something catchy that they can.
And that's the thing. Is like I'm practical about that. Like I'm working for success, but I'm not expecting like to be a millionaire or anything. Like you know what I mean? Ever. Like I know my demographic. I'm practical about it. Like. I just want to be able to get by, basically, and not have to worry about bills like everyone, right?
For sure.
That's true. I think that's the artist dream, to be able to do exactly what you love comfortably, not necessarily to make a fortune. If you can along the way,
if it happens, it's whatever. Like, but a lot of times money causes problems.
For sure. And you
there's
definitely
that $70,000 increment where people think that's the perfection of income. Where anything more than that, problems happen, and anything
probably
less
grows
than
with inflation. But I know what you're saying. Like, I think it was something like if you're housed, fed, and you have clothes and money to do things like for spare time and stuff like that. And to save, then you're happy. But anything like overly extra, like make it completely flips your.
Yeah, I think specifically just with reported happiness, I did hear that there was a cutoff around the $100,000 mark, just because
I heard 70, but maybe it's 100.
It might be on different determining on different factors too, like
inflation and all that.
Yeah, it is interesting that you sort of can never just dwell within the limitations of how much you have, because there is a need for humans to constantly have more, and it becomes worse as the more you get, for sure. Right. Like if you're making 150,000, well, you're looking at your neighbor who's pulling in, $500,000 every year, and he's doing the things that you can't afford to do, and now you have a new want instilled in you.
Exactly.
For sure.
I'd move.
Yeah. Then
I guess being on the road, like, or for planning to be on the road so often, I've become sort of a minimalist. Like, I'm like, what do I need this poster for if I'm not going to be at home to look at it? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of forced me to be like, what do I need all this stuff for if I'm not even going to like have the room for it in a van? Where am I going to put my poster?
When you go on the road, I've read a few like musicians' books, and when you go to a hotel, do you live out of a suitcase or do you unpack every night?
I just have like a backpack, to be honest, and like probably a week's worth of clothes. And
so do you live out of the backpack or do you put it in the drawers?
Nah, I live out of the backpack. Yeah, I don't undo everything because it's too quick and go. Like, it's like set up, get to the city. We don't even usually get to our hotel or whatever until after our show. So like we'll play the show, tear down, get to the place, set up, sleep, wake up, go. There's like not even enough time really half the time.
Sounds like you need a sponsorship with like RV Canada or something like that.
That would be epic.
And just have a tour bus.
Have you ever looked into the whole tiny home movement?
I have not looked into it, but I've like heard about it and seen it.
It was pretty cool. I was pretty convinced for a while that I should build a tiny house, and I'm still kind of convinced it'd be really cool to have, but it's not practical to do right now until I have like somewhere to do it.
I hear you.
But it is a little bit cooler than just driving around in a van that's very space limited. Mm-hmm. But God, that's gotta be, I guess, impractical too. Even if you had like a camper or something, it's a pretty hefty thing to tow around the country.
Absolutely.
But you don't need hotel rooms. So it's kind of a bonus.
Yeah.
And you can actually live in it. You can unpack. And
yes.
I always found that weird that people unpack into like the hotels to dressers. I don't know. Like it's not even that it's unreasonable. I can
see if you're like there for a week.
Yeah.
Or like 3 days or 4.
Which I totally agree that it's reasonable to do. It's just I don't even think of it for whatever reason. I'm used to
same here. I just get there, drop my bag, and get on with whatever we're doing. Because like the thing is, being on tour is you don't really have too much time for everything. So you cut out a lot of the like unnecessary stuff. You're like, we got to go eat. Let's have a quick beer, celebrate, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's like barely any time for like a lot of the times I had to just text friends and be like, sorry, man, there just wasn't enough time to see you.
And then you got to move on.
Yeah.
So this tour, and if it's too much of a kind of behind the music type question, is it self-funded or do you make money from the venues? Like how are you going across Canada?
So like a big part of it is like investing and saving. Like like we a lot of the times put the money, well, actually most of the time. Yeah, I think it's like 99% of the time we put all the money from a gig into a pile. Like we're incorporated, so like it's its own bank account and everything, and we accumulate for tour. So just to have a budget, of course. And then each gig is different. Some will pay us like a guarantee. Some will be ticketed if we think we can draw enough people if we have enough like friends out in that area or whatever. And what we're hoping with this album, we're gonna send it out to like college radios. We're hoping that we get
That's a clever way of doing it.
some like random people in every city, wherever we see it that it does well, we can book our tour to those places. But it's like last year I think the overall costs were $4,500 and we made 3,000. So we spent 1,500 between 5 people over a month.
That's not
BC
bad.
and back. That's amazing. $300 each.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And like, so that's
And
pretty
the
good.
experience and the memories.
That's gotta be really cool.
Yeah. So like, and like this year is a lot longer and it's going to be a lot like 3 times more expensive. We're calculating, but I also think that we're trucking along pretty nicely in terms of being a business and having like merchandise for sale and stuff like that. And we got a new website and everything. So
Who is it that makes your merchandise?
it's all different. Like I'm the guy that kind of designs it for the people, and then we have like 2 different t-shirt guys. We have a different guy that does patches. We usually get our stickers wherever.
So, but it's local to here.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I can, I will. And if I find a really good deal online, like I usually go with it for now, just because I can. But I like t-shirts, definitely local. CDs. First time I went with someone in Oregon, and this time around it was Toronto, so that's nice because we went and picked them up the other day.
Is it going to be a really funky print over top of the CD this time?
What do you mean?
Last time it was really like psychedelic sort of colors.
Oh yeah. This time it's kind of just like. Did you see the what we had on the tour poster?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Same kind of vibe.
Yeah, so that exact front cover thing.
Oh, okay.
That I had on there, and then the back is kind of just pretty much the same. It's not as super psychedelic. This time I made it like kind of like a cool spacey vibe.
At least it fits the theme then, because the other one was kind of interesting. Where the lighthouse at Port Dalhousie,
Yeah.
and you open it up and it's a CD that's just crazy colors.
Yeah, that
explosion
was
of color.
fun to make. That was like my early Photoshop days.
Nice.
While you're touring, well, I mean, I guess you kind of answered the question beforehand. So I'll try to reword it. When you tour, crap, I lost the question. No, it was just the whole merchandising thing. Like, do you sell a lot? Like, are you ever surprised by the amount that you sell? CDs, I would assume, are a big thing to pedal.
So yeah, like so. I mean, this goes without saying that whenever we have someone working the stand, we obviously make way more, because they can be selling while we're playing. People are leaving or whatever. But yeah, there's some times where I'm genuinely surprised. I'm like, we sold 10 shirts tonight. Like, holy crap, that's amazing. That's so much gas. Like, holy crap, we can eat great tonight or whatever. It's fun. It's like
that's like a true artist mentality.
Because we try not to dip too much into like emergency like visas or like our own pockets, right? Like, so we want to keep it in the budget. So we try to we won't starve ourselves, but we try not to dip into our own pockets and see how long we can go with the budget.
I think that's good advice to aspiring musicians. If you want to play in a band, take business classes.
Absolutely, 120%. This would not be happening if there wasn't like 60% of the business side happening in the background.
Mm-hmm. That's any type of art field.
Yeah.
If you don't know the business, it's either not going to work or you're going to be stagnating or growing slowly over the course of 5 years. Not that I have any experience with that. Until you reach a point where things can actually start to happen.
Right. Marketing is huge. All the back end stuff for sure. You got to look into your own industries and see what the standards are.
Yeah. And I guess as well as it comes into play of being able to hire the right people, because honestly, you don't have time to do everything. So you got to hire people that are way smarter than you are at a specific thing, and you go with that.
Yeah. Don't be hesitant just because you want to learn everything, because that's kind of what we could have tried to make our own music video, but it wouldn't have done anywhere close to as well. And like,
I've seen some of the results of people trying to do that with their phones and stuff,
Yeah.
and
it is what it is. But
It is
like,
what
I
it
knew
is.
that I didn't have that sort of expertise or time. Like, you know, as like, I'm of the philosophy that we have all the time in the world and no time at all.
It's a good philosophy.
it's all potential.
Yeah.
And then you only when you realize it is it really going to make any difference. 'Cause
Yeah.
it could be wasted just as easily.
And for any type of artistic project,
Right.
kind of the same idea. You have a lot of time, but every project I do more and more, the idea that a film shoot or a music video is never. I mean, you could say it's completed.
Yeah, I know.
But
how
it
you
is
feel.
at one point, like, this is the release date, this is where we want it to be. But if we had another year,
It'd be
you know
amazing.
what, we could
Oh, yeah.
probably have dragons flying in the sky.
Yeah.
It might not make it better,
Yeah.
but we could do it.
Yeah, I totally hear you. There's a funny meme on the internet of like a guy sitting at like a studio, and he's like, "I'm almost done mixing," and he's just a skeleton, like a dead skeleton.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
If there doesn't exist like a stock photo of a person leaning on a camera tripod as a skeleton yet, we should do that.
do it, man.
Put it on Shutterstock.
Yeah, it's a funny concept because it's true. Like you're never really done, and that's part of the whole jam thing. Like the whole playing the show different every time. It's because like you're always conceptualizing on a new way of approaching something or like expressing something, especially harmonically. Like there's so many available options than the one solo I played in the studio. Do you know what I mean? And like I don't want to be like pigeonholed into or like wind up monkey or whatever they're called just to play like a same solo every night. It would just drive me nuts. I wouldn't want to do it.
Soul was interesting, although if you think to a lot of popular rock music, there are those just iconic riffs.
Absolutely. If
You can't
like
change.
if there is a solo you hear on this album where you're like, dude, that solo, like always play it.
Or you think to a lot of stuff like you mentioned Stairway to Heaven. If there was a single note different in somebody's rendition, I would notice.
Right.
It just simple things that just
Absolutely.
gets stuck in your head. It's it sounds like it could not be made better than it is.
Right. And that's I agree with that. Like if I write a specific melody or like a specific solo, but like a lot of the solos I play even in the studio are completely improvised. So like although they hold a character, they're not like crafted in a way that you
It's kind of a placeholder in that case.
sort of, yeah, it's more of just energy.
Yeah.
It's like or a timestamp of the energy that was at that particular time. And if you want to like come here, that's kind of how I look at music is energy. And so when you come see a show, like you're checking out the energy of that song or the energy of that band. So I like to have like a more open expectation. I think part of it is I'm really tapped into the underground music scene, and that's kind of just a given in that scene is like you're gonna go see them live. It's not gonna be like putting in a CD. Whereas with the way bigger bands, that's like their management almost tells them they have to, or probably does.
That's branding. That's,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it is giving
It's
the people.
it's the business side taking over the creative art side.
Right. And
Yeah.
that is one thing is like, although I preach the business hard, is like to still have that artistic freedom, like don't give it up type thing. Like if you don't feel comfortable with that art, like don't do it.
Yeah. And I think all fans will always be able to sense it and start saying that something's disingenuous and
Absolutely.
you're a shill, you're a hack, whatever. People know when it's happening.
like Bob Dylan playing electric.
The hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's what I think, like, the more genuine you are, like, the more you'll see that in your fans. You'll attract more of those genuine fans that can sense how genuine the art is. So it really pays off because then you get that same vibe back. Like, we attract people that are looking for a different show every night, so then we get that energy back. Like, when we're playing to a crowd of people that understand what we're up to, it's way different because, like, then we're just milking it. We're, like, giving them what they want. When we play to, like, kind of a newer crowd or a more commercial crowd, a shorter gig or something, we'll just showcase their songs. And it's, like, it's still fun, but it's not the same as, like, the feeling of, like, a dance floor and I'm playing to their dance moves, basically. Like,
Being able to change on a night-to-night basis means that you would do very well if you ever end up being a mainstay in Vegas or something, you could have
Yeah.
people coming to see your show 5
Yep.
nights a week.
Exactly, and that's
completely different.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like if I'm in a dark mood, and I might take it in a dark harmonic approach.
Can you imagine if we had that much creative control? And maybe we could if we just went for it. But in the way that we do like wedding photos, because like I feel like a bit of a hack when I'm taking the same photo. I was like, oh, I took that 3 weddings ago for these other.
But it's the same as being like a musician for a wedding.
Yeah.
You're just forced to play
Yeah.
like what they want you.
So
That's true.
it's the balance between, because I do it all the time for video shots as well. You're getting this shot.
You get
done.
the
Sometimes it's not about like
the meat and potatoes, and then if you get extra time for extra stuff, that's
Yeah.
good.
But you could also put that as part of your contract. Like, I know some, like, especially if you're hiring a band for a wedding, like, and you're hiring the band, like, if this is a band that plays original music and you're hiring them, they're going to play their original music. If you hire a cover band, it's almost a given. So if you had it in your contract that says, like, it's my artistic freedom.
Yeah, well, I think we do have something along the lines of that where we do. At the end of the day, it is the creative choice of the person creating the art
Right.
to do it the way that
Because
they
they're coming to you as a
Yeah.
photographer, as an artist.
and within reason. If they ask me to go take a specific shot,
Right.
absolutely, I'm
Totally.
gonna take that shot.
Absolutely.
It comes down to being creative, getting what they want in the space. There's weddings that we've done outside where we get to open it up a lot more, and then you get weddings that are in a church that are only twice the size of this, and that's a little bit more constrained. So you can't do everything that you want to do. It wouldn't make sense to be gliding around on a Steadicam in a church that small. It would interrupt too many people.
Hit grandpa in the face with a
Yes.
barbell.
But I think the major difference, even though that you could argue you're getting paid for a show, we're getting paid for the wedding, is we're getting paid like now I'm losing my point again. They have a certain expectation, and it basically it would be like
It's more of a hired gig.
it's a higher gig.
Yeah.
It's the
They're
same as
going
if
to
a-
have
but-
it for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And you do okay, this is the point I was trying to
Okay.
make. It's better in a situation like that, I think, to get it right than to try something. It's okay to try something with a music video because we could do it again. You only get one shot. You
Yeah.
can't be artistic at the kiss because if you miss the kiss, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I kind of have that philosophy too with music in the jam. Like, although I do take risks, I don't practice on stage. Like, I'm not trying out
No.
something completely new. I'm
No,
not,
that would be a
you
good
know,
idea.
Like, it's mostly just like in the bounds of what I already know or whatever. So
I was thinking just briefly now though that it kind of works in the opposite way that I was saying before. The bigger you get, the fans want to pigeonhole you into doing something a specific way. The bigger you get in photography, and
the more you're allowed to.
yeah,
Yeah.
like you think, then people just hire you
Yeah.
for the name. They'll say, "Oh, I'll pay you $5,000 just to show up, and then you charge me whatever it is
Right.
for your print."
That's why I like jazz and stuff like that. You're going to see people's interpretations of things instead of the classical approach to music, where it's you're going to see the exact rendition of the way the composer like
Yeah.
created it. And then both are great. Like there's a brilliance to both because certain compositions are brilliant in their own sense, and then certain compositions lend themselves to extending and improvising and doing it your own way. Like if you check out a lot of jazz songs of like a Beatles tune, like you would barely recognize it. It's so reharmonized, but like
See, I should start listening to stuff like that because the only jazz music that I listen to is stuff you could tune into on the radio.
Right.
It's not like the underground stuff. That
yeah,
you
there's a lot of like
about.
funk jazz and like, you know what I mean, stuff you can dance to, or like, or even just look up covers, like a song you know by the Beatles, and just look up jazz version of like whatever.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, because then you already know the song, so you know what you're listening for, the melody, and then see how some artists interpret it.
I like the now I'm gonna blank on the YouTube channel, that retro jukebox channel or whatever they're called, where they take a little bit more modern music or modern
I think I know what you're
songs,
talking about. Yeah.
and they will put it into like the
They'll
1950s swing or
And then
Oh,
they'll,
that's
they'll,
rad.
they'll change it during the video to different time periods.
yeah,
as to how
even
it
that
goes.
too.
That's
That's
awesome.
really neat because that's taking. I mean, it is like the jazz thing. It's
You're
taking
defining the style of a decade almost and trying to distill it. Like if I was thinking in that, that musical sense, I
Yeah.
would have written it this way.
Yeah, you're dissecting like what makes it that decade or whatever.
I saw a bathing suit video like that too.
Yeah, men and women's.
No,
bathing.
women, just a woman.
Just women.
It was a very nice video. You could clearly see that women's bodies have changed a little bit over the years, the way they've maintained, because the 1920s woman's bathing suit looked so much better on this model than it did in anybody in the 1920s. And then as it progressed, it got better and better, and you have no idea how little fabric these bathing suits are until you see something even from the 90s compared to 2018. God bless it.
Really?
Yeah. I'll try to find the link and send it. But yeah, that well, that was totally off topic, but
Yeah, it was a good tangent.
yeah. Overall, the experience working has been fun. It's been creative. Like you said, you want to do more music videos. I do too, but I want to do more narrative stuff. I want, like, it's been a long time. Every time we do a commercial,
What do you mean by narrative stuff?
wedding videos by nature are narrative, but they're more documentary based. Narrative would be, let's write a script or let's come up with something and let's shoot
Right.
it. Let's
Okay.
see
Gotcha.
it. Let's see it.
Even like I don't think it'd be applicable in a lot of cases, but one day it'd be really cool to just do a music video where like tables are set, we're doing claymation or something, we're using some kind of models, and it's all stop motion, or we film it in some unique way and
I
write
like
a story
Sheila
to
do
that.
that. She seems to like the stop motion stuff.
She does. She could use some tips still, I think, but
That would
Yeah,
be really
stop
sweet.
motion's fun.
Stop motion's awesome.
yeah,
It is. It's a dying art.
Yeah.
it's a lot of work for
It is.
especially
Yeah.
claymation. Jeez.
But no, the nice thing about now, and every time we shoot a commercial or the music video, the first thing I ever shot, the movie I did in high school, when you planned it and you visually plan it and then you shoot it, you're like, okay, this is 20% of what I thought it was going to be. But when it's done, you're like, this is still friggin' cool.
Yeah.
It never goes the way you think
No,
it will.
right.
But now you can get it to like 70% of what you think it is, or 80%, maybe 85. Especially if you dissect it shot by shot. If you nail the shot, you're like, this is exactly what I wanted. So the fact that we're getting so close to being in a position where we come up with a concept, and then from concept to the final edit, it has stuck, and with editing and whatnot, you can even increase it and put it back to where it was, where you're getting 90% of the original idea.
Especially with like everyone having a camera in their pocket nowadays, you can capture like so many things on the fly that you might not have.
It's almost an interesting idea. What if I don't use Snapchat enough to say this, but what if like a band just Snapchat stuff to their fans constantly or whatever, and you took all that footage, you could probably stitch together lots of little pieces for a music video. You could almost make a video out of content that's already
The thing
made.
is it's usually not that good quality, and it's usually like a vertical.
Oh, I understand that there's definitely quality limitations, but if the narrative is good enough,
Yeah.
it can work, I think.
The Wolf of Wall Street
Yeah.
is the first Hollywood movie to ever implement an iPhone shot
Wow.
in the movie.
I know
That was
I
a
know
good
which
movie.
one. It stands out.
What shot?
See, I can't even think of any of the shots right now, but I do remember seeing one shot in the movie that sort of stood out to me. I saw it in theaters when it came out.
The shot, they are drugged out on an airplane, and the director, they're coming back from a shoot, and the director of photography is like, shit, we didn't get this. So he's on an airplane, he pulls out his phone, and the shot of the seatbelt light turning on, that's the shot they use.
That's
Something
so
that you would
funny.
think you'd have so much
Ability.
B-roll or stock footage of from any other movie.
Yeah.
Nope. iPhone.
That's
Done.
hilarious.
And it's such a brief shot that nobody's gonna really call you on
Right.
the
Yeah.
difference.
Until you mention it and make it public. Hey, that was done on an iPhone. And now I forget what director did it, but the trailer dropped about a month ago for a movie that was done completely on iPhone.
Wow.
Like a feature length, big
The
director.
iPhones are getting crazy now.
Big director attached to it.
It's interesting. The camera side of it's that good, although microphones still seem to be quite big and bulky.
Yeah.
Maybe not
I
necessarily.
think it's condensers.
The physical microphone itself definitely needs to be bigger, but the electronics inside this thing, I don't know. I don't know if they necessarily have to be as big as they are.
Steven Soderbergh.
Soderbergh. It's close to Spielberg.
Wait.
I've definitely seen some longer format YouTube, straight like YouTube films that have been just iPhones, and they always like put it in the end.
It was in theaters. It's a movie called Unsane. Shot the entire medical thriller using the iPhone 7 Plus.
Unsane. Maybe we should watch that and do a critique of it.
Yeah. I've thought about it. Now we're getting meta, so I won't. But there's other things I've been thinking about that we could do. But
I think it might be time to wrap this one up because
this was fun.
This is a really
fun.
good time talking about all sorts of music stuff that we never otherwise would talk about just because we ramble on.
Again, we'll go into the. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah. All right.
It was good. It was fun. So the album is released
May 11th.
And it's at the warehouse.
Yep,
Tickets
St.
are
Catharines.
still available.
Yep, still got some tickets.
As usual, our Instagrams are up, but maybe we could put some links.
Yeah, if you send us your, episode 8 is the first one that has bottom third titles.
Nice.
Yes, so we'll put one.
It only goes up from here.
No, it does. Every week gets better.
Have a good night.
Have a good
Peace.
one. Peace. Yeah.
It's so hard to find an endpoint.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
And we don't really have a good sign off yet. Have a good night. What if they're watching it in the morning?
Who cares?